Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Amy and I am here today with another tutorial. I wanted to show you guys how I accomplished this glowy look today. I'm actually filming the intro in my office. I did my face this morning and shot everything, filmed everything, and then rushing out of the door realized that I didn't film the intro or the outro. So, plus you guys get to take a look at my office. So you have like my vacation photos behind me. That's my escape when the day is crazy and I need to just kind of, I look at those pictures and remember those moments, and it kind of helps de-stress and decompress what's going on through the day. So if you guys are interested in seeing this and seeing more of this, keep watching. So starting with brows, I am taking the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim Pencil, and I'm first going to draw and map out the shape of my brow, and then using small strokes, I'm going to fill in the brow just to give it a hair-like appearance. Now using the Maybelline concealer, this is in the shade Caramel, I am going to use this to do two things. One, to help to define the shape of my brow, and also using as a primer for my lid for the shadow. So I use the wand from the concealer, and then I go in with a flat brush and just refine the shape of my brow, and spread the product around, the concealer around on my eyelid, and then I'm gonna go in with my finger just to blend that concealer out. So next we want to go ahead and set this concealer on the eyes, and I'm going to use a white translucent powder, and this is from Ciate London. It's their extraordinary translucent powder, and it's great for setting my eyes. So I'm going to grab an oldie but a goodie. This is the Yes Please eyeshadow palette from Colourpop. And taking a blending brush, I am going to go ahead and blend this into my crease. Really want to build this up. This is a beautiful, deep, sort of a reddish orange shade. Want to build this up in the crease. Next, I'm going to grab the shade Big Cocktails, and I'm going to pop that on top of the shade Spoiled using a Real Techniques crease brush. All right, next we're going to go ahead and deepen up the outer third, and I'm going to take the shade French Kiss, and we're going to build that up in the outer third, blending it into the shade Spoiled just to kind of help to define the shape of my eye, because I do have hooded eyes. Next, I'm going to pick up the shade Champs, and I'm going to use a pencil brush, and I'm going to carve out my highlight area under my brow, and then I'm also going to use this shade to further define the shape of my eye. I want a really nice transition from light to dark with this eye look. Next, I'm going to grab the Fenty Beauty Avalanche Metallic Powder Set, and I'm going to reach for that center shade, and it is the shade Cleopatra. Now, this is a loose pigment. It's a loose metallic pigment, and so I'm going to take it on a wet brush, dip into the product, and start to place this on the eye. And I'm being pretty careful with placement of this because, again, I have hooded eyes and I really want to define the shape of my eye beyond the small lid space. So I'm going to take this above the lid up to where that brown shade is and further define the shape of my eye. Now this is a pretty unique color. It's like an olive goldish type color. It's really beautiful and it lays very well on the eye. Dipping back into the Yes Please palette, I'm going to pick up the shade Louis, and I'm going to use this as a transition between the Cleopatra shade and between the brown French Kiss shade, just so that we create movement from, you know, the lighter shade to the darker shade. Grabbing the Il Makiage wing liner, felt tip liner, I'm going to draw a small wing and go ahead and line the top portion of my eye. This did get a little messy, but I did go back in with the Cleopatra shade and clean up, you know, that mess from the black liner. Now let's go ahead and work on this glow. So I'm going to take the Pixie Glow Mist and I'm going to spritz my entire face, and then I'm going to just pat that in and press that into the skin. And then I'm going to go behind that with the Smashbox priming oil, and I'm going to use that as an additional primer, being careful to kind of go down the bridge of my nose because I don't want this oil to run down my brows and into my eye makeup. For foundation, I'm going to mix the NYX Born to Glow in Warm Mahogany with the Maybelline Dewy Smooth, the Maybelline Fit Me in the shade 360. And I'm going to apply this using a Real Techniques foundation brush. And I'm going to buff this into the skin. And I'm also going to use this to further define the shape of my brows. Sorry about putting the mirror in the view of the camera, you guys. I'm going to give myself another spritz of the Glow Mist, and then I'm going to take that brush and press that into the skin, blending it into the foundation to really give me a nice glow. I'm going to grab my fan and fan this dry. Then for concealer, we're going to take the Colourpop Pretty Fresh concealers, and I'm using the shades Medium Dark 145W and Dark 153C. And I'm going to place this in the areas that I want to highlight because I really want a nice shine and a nice glow to this look. So I'm highlighting under my eyes, down the bridge of my nose, between my brows, not my entire forehead. Then I'm going to highlight my upper lip as well. Again, gonna grab my fan because I want this concealer to dry down before I start to blend it out. While it's dry, I'm gonna grab the Deep Dark Concealer from Colourpop. And this is the No Filter Concealer. And I'm gonna place this in the areas that I want to contour. So I wanna create some shadow so that I really have a narrow face because I'm wearing an updo. So I want a more narrow instead of a rounded face. Using my e.l.f. Beauty sponge, I'm going to go ahead and now blend out the concealers. So I'm going to use the tip of the sponge, and the sponge is damp, Using the tip of the sponge to blend out the areas around the center of my face, so my eyes, the top of my lip, my nose, and my forehead. And then I'm going to flip the sponge and take the bottom of the sponge to blend out the darker concealer. Using the excess on the bottom of the sponge, I'm going to go ahead and do a light contour on my nose. I'm going to set the lighter concealer with the Maybelline Loose Setting Powder in the shade Medium Deep. I love this powder. It's so finely milled and it just lays everything in place and stays in place. And I am putting this on a little heavy because I need this makeup to last all day. I won't have an opportunity to refresh. So I want to make sure that this stays, and especially under my eyes because my eyes tend to dry out and I'm darker under my eyes. So I'm going a little heavier with the powder today. But don't worry, it looks crazy right now, but I promise when we're done, it will be a beautiful finish. Using the Bake and Blot pressed powder from Makeup Revolution. This is in the shade Deep Dark. I am going to set the darker concealer. I'm going to set the contour areas of my face. And I am using a stiff angled brush from the company LaRousse. It was in my Ipsy box this month, and I'm going to use that. I love this brush. Going to use that to press in the powder and go ahead and blend that out. Now let's add some color back to my face. I'm going to take on the same brush. This is a bronzer by Morphe and it's in the shade Enemy. And I'm going to first kind of press it into the areas where I want to look a little more golden. And that's really like on the apples of my cheek, up to my temples, around the top of my forehead and under my chin. So I'm going to go ahead and bronze to give myself a golden color, and let's bring some life back into my face. I'm going to pick up a BH Cosmetics buffing brush and dip back into that bronzer. And I'm going to go ahead and buff that bronzer all over in the areas where I place it, just to give me a seamless blend and to just make sure that everything is nice and polished. I'm going to grab the Maybelline Fit Me Pressed powder, and I'm taking this on a flat foundation brush from LaRousse, and I'm going to press this in the areas that don't have powder. So I'm going to go ahead and set my entire face with this powder, and I'm going to press also on top of the lighter areas just to tone down just a little bit. I don't want to be light bright, but I do want to have the glow, so I am going to press that on top of the lighter areas as well. So just setting my entire face with this powder. Now let's add some color. So I'm going to take this Mary Kay blush in this shade Brick, and I'm using the Farah blush brush to apply this onto the apples of my cheeks and then swiping up towards my temple. So just on top of where I placed the bronzer. Taking my holy grail of setting sprays, the Morphe Setting Mist, spritz my entire face. Then time for some highlights. So I'm going to grab the Cali Kissed blush and highlight palette from Smashbox, and I'm going to take that middle gold shade, and using the e.l.f. highlighter brush, I'm going to go ahead and buff this highlighter into my highlight area on top of my cheekbones, across my nose, across the top of my brow and the top of my forehead, because again, this look is all about glow, and so we really want to have a nice golden glow. Going back in with my Morphe setting spray to set everything in place again, and then if I can open my fan, we're gonna just fan my face dry. For my lower lash line, I'm going to recreate what I did on the top at the bottom. So I'm going to pick up the shade Spoiled, and I'm going to use a pencil brush to stamp that all over the bottom, the lower lash line. Then I'm going to reach into the shade French Kiss, which is the brown shade, and I'm going to just place that in the corner, kind of drag it over a little bit. And then I'll finish up with the shade Big Cocktails, and I'm going to just drag that underneath both of those shades to kind of tie everything together and blend everything out. Taking a small angled brush, I'm going to dip into that Daisy Marquez palette, and I'm going to reach for that rich black shade called Matter. I'm going to wet the brush, and then I'm going to apply this as a liner directly onto my lower lash lines, into my waterline. For mascara, I'm going to take this Trustique mascara. It's a 2-in-1. It's a lash curler and a mascara. So I'm going to curl only my right eye, because, you know, I have two different eye shapes, and so the lashes on this eye curl outward, so I need them to curl up. So then I'm going to go in with the mascara and go ahead and pop some mascara on the lower and top lashes. And this mascara is kind of thick, which I love, so it gives me a lot of volume on the lower lash line, which I think just adds a certain amount of sexy to the overall look of the eye and just the face in general. Taking the Maybelline Master Chrome Jelly Highlighter, the number 20, so it's in the shade Metallic Rose. I'm going to pop this in the corner of my eyes for the inner corner highlight, and I'm using a pencil brush to do so. So let's finish up this look by popping on some lashes, and these are just some wispy style lashes that I purchased from Amazon. Let's move on to lips. So I am taking the Amore Satin Matte lipstick from Milani, and I purposely did not edit this clip because I want you guys to notice something. I did this entire lip and never once had to dip back inside the container to pick up additional product. This lip product from Milani is amazing, and I think I paid maybe $7 for this matte lipstick, and it is amazing, and it lasts all day, literally lasts all day. Once it dries, it does not move and it does not transfer. I'm going to fan this lip dry so it dries faster so I can add additional color. I'm I'm going to grab the Colourpop. This is from the Bretman Rock and Colourpop collab. It's the Ultra Satin Lip in the shade She Cute. And I'm going to kind of dab this into the center of my lip. So I'm going to go and try to create a nice ombre lip. So let's add a little gloss on top of this lip. And this is also from the Bretman Rock and Colourpop collab. This is just a clear gloss and it's in the shade Kumquat. And I'm putting it on my finger and then dabbing my finger across the lip. This gives me precision and it also doesn't, dirty up my wand. All done.